Adana sat at the back of the box, her body trembling from exhaustion, grief, and fear. Her heart ached as she thought about Kobe lying on the road, his small body still and his breath gone. He had chased her to the very end, refusing to leave her side. Tears slid down her cheeks. She wanted to scream, she wanted to turn back, but she had no home anymore. She had nowhere to go. She wiped her eyes and stared out of the window. The bus rattled along the dirt road, heading towards the unknown. The other passengers sat in silence, some dozing off, others staring ahead. And then, a voice beside her. Are you okay? She turned and found herself looking into the warm, curious eyes of a young man sitting beside her. The man was tall and lean, his dark skin that glows. This man, the man was tall and lean, with dark skin that glowed under the dim light of the bus. His features were strong, yet his eyes were soft and filled with kindness. Adana hesitated, unsure whether to respond. Was he just polite or did he truly care? She swallowed hard. I'm fine, but she wasn't, and he could see that. And he could see that. My name is Chike, he said, offering a small smile. And you? Adana muttered. And you? My name is Chike, he said, offering a small smile. And you? Adana, she muttered. Chike nodded. Where are you going to, Adana? Her throat tightened. Her throat tightened. She didn't know. Anywhere, she whispered. Chike was silent for a moment. Then he nodded as if he understood. You ran away, didn't you? Adana's heart stopped. What? I can see it in your eyes, he said gently. You are carrying pain. You left something behind or someone. Adana's breath hitched. How could he see her so clearly? She turned away, unable to answer. Chike didn't press her further. Instead, he reached into his bag and pulled out a piece of bread, wrapping it in a cloth before handing it to her. You look hungry, he said. Adana stared at it, her stomach twisting. She hadn't eaten in almost a day, but kindness was so foreign to her that she hesitated. Go on, Chike said. I wouldn't ask for anything in return. Adana took the bread slowly. She tore off a small piece and chewed. The taste filled her mouth, the warmth of it spreading through her body. It was the first time in a long time that someone had given her something without expecting anything back. But it was the first time she felt safe. As the bus rumbled on, the sky outside darkened. Adana leaned against the window, her body tired, her mind racing. She couldn't stop thinking about everything she had left behind. Her parents gone, her childhood stolen, and the only home she had ever known as prison. And then Kobe. She squeezed her eyes shut. She couldn't think about him without breaking down. You don't have to tell me, Chike said softly, pulling her out of her thoughts. But sometimes sharing your story makes the burden lighter. Adana looked at him, unsure. Could she trust him? She had never trusted anyone before, but there was something about Chike, something steady, something real. And so, for the first time in her life, she told him her story. She told him about her parents' death. She told him about Aunt Ebere's cruelty. She told him about how she was forced to eat leftovers like an animal, how she was treated worse than the dogs in the house. She told him about the wedding and how her one child's happiness had been stolen. And then she told him about Kobe. When she finished, She realized she was crying. Chike was silent, his jaw clenched, his hands turned into a fist. And then he said something that made her heart stop. You deserve better, Adana. You always did. The bus slowed down as he approached a large town. Adana's heart pounded. This was it. She had no money, no food, no home. She had no idea what to do next. Chike turned to her. Listen, Adana, I have an idea. She wiped her tears. What? I live in this town, he said. I work in a small bakery. My aunt owns it. She is a kind woman. The bus came to a slow stop. The brakes, hissing at the door, cracked open. Adana clutched her small bundle of belongings, her heart pounding. She had no idea where she was. The town was nothing like the small village she had lived in. The streets were wider, and the houses were built with cement and painted in bright colors. The air smelt of roasted corn and fried akara, freshly baked bread. People bustled around, talking loudly and selling their goods. For the first time in a long time, she felt like a ghost, unnoticed, invisible. But Chike noticed her. Come on, he said, leading her through the busy streets. We are almost there. Adana followed him, unsure of what awaited her. Adana followed him, unsure of what awaited her. Chike led her to a small shop with a loud wooden sign that reads, Informer's Bakery. The scent of warm bread filled the air, and the shelves inside were lined with loaves, buns, and cakes. Behind the counter stood a woman, tall, plump, with a bright wrapper tied around her waist. Her skin was the color of roasted groundnuts, and her face was full of kindness. Auntie Ifoma, Chike called. The woman turned and beamed. Chike, you are back. How was the trip? It was fine, Auntie, but I brought someone with me. Auntie Chike gaze landed on Adana, and for a moment she said nothing. Adana swallowed, nervous. Would she turn her away? But then Auntie Ifoma smiled. Welcome, my dear, she said warmly. You must be hungry. Sit down, let me get you something to eat. Tears burned down Adana's eyes. She wasn't used to this kindness, warmth, and a welcoming voice. She nodded quickly. Thank you, ma. Just like that, she had found a place to stay. Days passed, and Adana slowly adjusted to her new life. She helped in the bakery, sweeping the floors, arranging the bread, washing the trays. She learned how to knead dough, how to mix ingredients, and how to tell when the bread was perfectly baked. For the first time, she felt useful. She felt free. And Chike was always there, watching over her, making sure she was okay. But not everyone welcomed her. One afternoon, as Adana was cleaning the counter, a sharp voice cut through the air. Who is she? Adana turned to see a young woman standing at the door. She was beautiful, tall and light-skinned, with long braids that hounded over her shoulders. Her nails were painted bright red, and her tongue curled into a smirk. Chike's face darkened. Adaora, be nice, be nice. Chike scoffed. You brought a total stranger into our house, and you want me to be nice? Adana's stomach twitched. She didn't need to ask who Adora was. She already knew. This was Chike's cousin, Auntie Former's daughter, and she already hated her. From that day, Adora made Adana's life miserable. She refused to let her touch her things. She made fun of her clothes, calling her a bush girl. She sneered whenever she saw Chike talking to her. You are not special, Adora said one day, folding her arms. Just because my mother took you in doesn't mean you belong here. Adana lowered her eyes. She didn't want trouble. But Adora wasn't done. You think you can steal Chike's attentions, don't you? She sneered. Well, let me tell you something. He is mine. Adana's eyes widened. Mine? Did Adora like Chike? Before Adora could reply, before Adana could reply, Adora stepped closer. Stay away from him, she whispered, or I will make sure you regret ever coming here. Adora was determined to get rid of Adana. She waited, watching and planning. And then one night, she saw her chance. Adana had stayed up late cleaning the bakery. As soon as she left, she went to bed exhausted. But that was when Adora struck. That was when Adora struck. She snuck into the bakery and knocked over a tray of freshly baked loaves, scattering them across the floor. Then she tore open a stack of flour, spilling it everywhere. Finally, she grabbed a bottle. Finally, she grabbed a bottle of palm oil and poured it across the shelves. While she was done, she stepped back and smiled. Tomorrow morning, Adana should be blamed, and if it all went well, she would be thrown out. The next morning, screams filled the bakery. Who did this? Auntie Ifeoma cried, staring at the mess. Flour covered the floor, and the bread was ruined. The palm oil dripped from the counter. Adana rushed in, her eyes widening. What happened? You tell me. Adora snapped, crossing her arms. Crossing her arms. You were the last one in here. Auntie Ifeoma turned to her. Adana, is this true? Adana's throat tightened. I I didn't do this. But Adora smirked. Who else could have done it? Chike stepped forward. Auntie, I don't think Adana would do something like this. But that was already in Auntie Ifeoma's eyes, and Adana knew if she didn't prove her innocent, she would lose the only home she had left. One day to prove her innocence, one day to find the truth, and one day to fight for the home she had finally found. Adana had only one day to prove that she was innocent, one day to fight for the home she had ever known. She refused to let Adora win. She refused to be thrown away again. So she took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and set out to find the truth. Adana knew she had cleaned the bakery before going to bed. So if the mess had happened after that, someone else must have done it. She walked around the bakery, scanning the floor, the shelves, the counter, anything that might give her a clue. And then her eyes landed on the spilled palm oil. There were footprints, small delicate footprints, leading away from the mess. Someone had walked through the oil. Her heart pounded. She bent down examining them. The print led towards the back of the bakery, towards the door that led inside the house. Someone had snuck in after she had left. She had a strong feeling she knew who it was. Adana marched towards Adora's room, her fist clenched. She knocked, no answer. She knocked again, still no answer. Then she pushed the door open and froze. Adana was inside, sitting on her bed, filing her nails. She looked up and smiled. Well, well, she said. What do you want? Adana took a deep breath. I know you did it. Adora's snack widened. Did what? We ruined the bakery, Adana said firmly. You spilled the flour, the oil, and knocked over the bread, and you framed me for it. Adora laughed. And what do you have? Proof. Adana laughed. And do you have proof? Adana stepped forward. Yes, the footprints. For the first time, Adora's smirk faltered. Adana pressed on. You walked through the oil, Adora. The footprints led straight from the bakery to this house. And all I have to do is to check your shoes, and I will find the oil stains. Adora's face darkened. For the moment, there was silence. Then she stood up, and before Adana could react, Adora grabbed her by the arms and yanked her close. You think you are smart, huh? Don't you? She hissed. You think you can come just here and take everything from me? My home, my family, my chicky? Adana struggled, fear creeping into her chest. I don't want to take anything from you. I just want a place to belong. Adora's grip tightened. You don't belong here, she whispered. I will make sure you never do. Then she shoved Adana hard. Adana stumbled back, hitting the door frame. Pain shot through her shoulders, but she didn't step back. I am telling Auntie Ifoma, she said, her voice shaking but firm. But this time, you wouldn't be able to lie your way out of it. Adora's eyes flashed with anger, but Adana didn't wait for her to respond. She turned and ran. Auntie Ifoma was in the bakery inspecting the damage, her face tired and sad. JK stood beside her, his arms crossed. Auntie, Adana rushed in, breathless. Ifoma turned. What is it? Adana pointed towards the footprint she found proof. She explained everything, how the footprint led to the house, how Adora's shoe would have oil stains. Chike's eyes widened. That makes sense. Auntie Thomas looked down at the prints, then looked back at Adana. Her expression shifted, a mixture of realization and disappointment. Adora, she called. Silence, then slow footsteps. Adora walked in, her face calm. Yes, Mama. Adora folded her arms. Take off your shoes. Adora stiffened. What? You heard me for the first time. Panic flickered in her Adora's eyes. She hesitated, just a second too long. Auntie Ifoma stepped forward. Adora, take off your shoes. Adora's jaw clenched. She slipped off her sandals. Gasp fills the room. The sole were stained with palm oil. Auntie Ifoma closed her eyes, breathing deeply. Then she turned to Adana. I'm so sorry, my dear, she said, her voice filled with guilt. Adana felt her knees go weak. For the first time in her life, someone believed her. Auntie Ifoma turned to Adora, her face like stone. I raised you better than this, she said. How could you do this? Adora's lips trembled. Mama, I... Enough, Auntie Ifoma snapped. I'm just deeply ashamed. You will clean this bakery from top to bottom, and until further notice, you are banned from entering the shop. Adora's eyes filled with tears. But Mama, not another word.